Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Gazette.
Welcome to the Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan, joined today by Chris Nilan, Jack Todd, and the newest member of the Gazette Sports Department, Christopher Curtis. Chris, only in Montreal, a team comes home from a 3-1 road trip to start the season, and there's like a sense of panic after that 7-1 loss in Tampa. Is there a reason for concern?
Well, that's Montreal. Expectation level is so high. PK's getting too much money. They should have lost all 4 games. It's early in the season. Yeah, it wasn't good the other night what happened in Tampa Bay. But you knew Tampa was going to come after being swept last year 4-0 in the playoffs. Ben Bishop was out last year in the playoffs, which is a big difference. And they had something to prove. They played well, and then, you know, you come back here and people are just, it's a little much this early in the season.
Yeah. Anybody that's played a game, any kind of sport, there's a certain point where it starts to feel like the floor is tilted or the ice rate, and it's tilted against you, and everything just starts going away. The harder you try, the more you screw up. I think it was just one of those kind of nights, and you got to throw it out. I was listening to an RDS show yesterday. They were all over Gilbert, of all people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
It was like Steven Stamkos was the one tilting the ice.
Yeah.
If his name was Gilbert, though, it would have been no problem.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to sell all my Canadian stock. It's all over, man. It's all over. Sell the kids. Steer the ship into the iceberg. Let's at least die now. It's over.
I know, I watched
4 games into the season. Everything is decided.
I watched part of the game in a pub with some buddies, and it was 5-1. They actually changed the channel and put it to Monday Night Football.
Oh, Jesus.
It was only in Montreal.
We're 4 games into the season. We've already had the parade along the usual route and complete panic, you know, trade Subban, fire Terry, and all. And what? We're not even 2 weeks in.
No, I know. Well, one of the things, maybe there is a reason for panic, Chris. The power play is 0 for 14. You've coached before. What would you do to fix this thing?
Well, I've coached, I've played on it, but still, here's the deal. When you get a lot of good players like they do on the power play who can pass the puck and receive the puck and shoot the puck, they overpass all the time. They never penetrate the box either. You see them a lot stay on the perimeter. Sometimes they'll shoot a guy in front of the net, and then he'll get on the outside again. They overpass the puck. The 3 guys up top, Markov, Subban, Pacioretty, are all dangerous shooting, but they're not shooting the puck. You got to try and work it low sometimes, switch things up. You got to get shots to the net and get some ugly goals. Try and change that power play around like that. You're never gonna be successful if you stand stationary and just move the puck. It's not gonna happen.
You get some big bodies in front of the net too.
Oh yeah. Well, the one big body is, you know, never gets closer than an area code away from the net is Max Pacioretty. I thought he had a very soft game against Tampa. I mean, the loss wasn't his fault either, but, you know, it's an ongoing theme with him. He'll get you your 39 goals, but, you know, he'll never be within 39 inches of the net.
He almost looks like the small guy in that line with Desharnais and Gallagher. Desharnais and Gallagher are crashing the net, and he's sort of on the perimeter. I don't know, Chris, what's your thoughts on him?
I think he gets inside his own head. Like, when you talk to a lot of these guys, maybe the most successful ones don't overthink it. And Max Pacioretty almost has this like dark night of the soul psychology to him. When things start going wrong, it's like, there was nothing left to burn, so I set myself on fire. He's like, no, he tends to be like a guy, when he gets on a bad streak, he really starts to overthink. Like, he scored a goal in Toronto. How did he score the goal? He went to the net. He got around the defenseman. He got close to the net. He shot the puck. I think it's what's happening now is, you know, he's overthinking it. He's getting in. But I wouldn't know. I'm not a 39 goal scorer in the NHL. Again,
only in the NHL, or only in Montreal would a guy who scored 39 goals be taking this heat. Is it justified, Chris? What are your thoughts about it?
Well, it's early. Again, it's early for everybody, and I want to see Max do well. Everybody wants to see him do well. I know he's hard on himself when he doesn't score. He gets frustrated. He's got to get focused again and get doing those things that made him successful last year. Getting in the holes, driving wide and going to the net, going to that post with the puck. And there's at times he'll do it, and then other times you see he gets into that little passing game, trying to cycle down low, and things don't happen. But his game has to be driving with the puck, getting to the net, and shooting off the wing, shooting in stride. A lot of times he gets over, when he struggles, I believe, he gets over the blue line and he spreads his legs. He doesn't keep them moving. That's a big thing for Max
If
Pacioretty.
you had his size, you might have scored 50 goals.
Maybe 30.
This team comes back, Jack, you're 3-1. They easily could have been 0-4. To me, that's a sign of the character this team has, and Marc Bergevin, the team that he's built.
Yeah, it is, and it's, you know, I've applauded before those little tweaks that he makes. You know, it's a guy who still hasn't pulled off a blockbuster deal here and may never do it. He seems to get just the right guy or two, the right combination, guys, the kind of lineup that Therrien wants. But the whole leadership thing there around Plekanec, I see now why my mentor Pat Hickey was saying Plekanec should be the captain, because this guy, he's been doing it without credit for 11 seasons here. Now I think he's finally beginning to get some credit, but that's a huge difference. I saw some stats the other day, which stats go in one ear, not the other with me, but there's a huge shift this season because Malhotra being there with the offensive zone faceoffs. All of a sudden, 2/3 of his faceoffs are in the offensive zone instead of being in the defensive zone. Changes the player.
30, I think 70% of the time he took faceoffs and he started in the defensive zone, and that's going to change with Malhotra. It has to, and it's going to allow him to add more offense to this team.
Chris, you're a new guy around the locker room this year. What's your thoughts about this team, the way things are looking?
I think Plekanec is a good example of, he's always been a fast starter, and he's a very opportunistic player. And now you're giving him guys who will put him in these situations where he can score, where he can set up a play that's going to be a scoring play. So he's incredibly opportunistic. If you look at his goals, it's always some second shot. He's moving, he's creating chances. Even on the on the penalty kill, he's doing stuff that is going to create a turnover and get the puck in the other end. Now you give him two wingers that aren't just sort of like the odds and ends. These are two guys, or at least Galchenyuk, who will probably be along his side the entire season. Like, here's a guy who's going to get you some space, and here's a guy who is obviously burgeoning. And it's not just like, Plekanec, you take the rest. You never complain.
he works his butt off. That's one thing. And we'll be right back at work after a short break here. Welcome back to Hockey Inside Out. While the Canadians are off to a 3-1 start to the season, Chris, the Bruins are 1-3 in their first 4 games and have scored only 4 goals. Is this a team?
Oh, they're brutal. They're done. They're out of it. They'll never catch the Habs. No, it's unbelievable how bad the Bruins are playing. No, struggling like any team. Beginning of the year, you got to get the kinks out. You got to get going as a team. There was some turnover in that team, just like the Canadians. Some new faces. They got to get used to playing with each other, get their game going. It's going to take some time. I'm not worried about the Bruins. They get rid of guys like Boychuk and Iginla. They're going to miss those guys. And Robbie Bobbins, what's his name? Robbie Bobbins, Rockin' Robin. Anyway, they waived him and bring in Simon Gagne. So I'm not worried about the Bruins. I think their organization is solid. They got a good group, and Chiarelli, of course, has done a great job since he's been there.
Chris, you think they could be a team in decline, or is it?
Well, I think they peaked when they won the Stanley Cup, and maybe even the following season. But again, because of the salary cap, you can't keep a guy like Iginla. You can't keep Boychuk. You have to re-sign a lot of these younger players, and what happens is, you're a team that's designed to win tight games. You disrupt that balance, and all of a sudden, as Chris says, you have to reestablish it. You have to get the kinks out. You have to, you take 30 goals off of that team. They've got to come from somewhere. It's not going to be Louis Eriksson.
No. Robbie Robbins.
We talk about PK Subban's contract here. Boston has Zdeno Chara, and you got to wonder. PK is going up, and you have to wonder if Zdeno is going down, Jack.
I think he's going down a bit. It helps that he's 6'9" with 112-foot arms. I came out of the, talking to somebody in the Ottawa room when he was there, and I turned around, and here he is. And I'm 6'6". Yeah. He's barefoot, I'm in shoes, and I'm like this, and the body comes up like that.
And it just goes
so
up.
The body is still there, the brain, he's a smart guy, but he can't do the 30-minute gig anymore, and it wears him down over a season. He looked worn down in the playoffs. With the old Chara, I don't think Montreal beats them in the playoffs last spring. You take that, you add it to the losses here and there, they're just not quite the team they were. Gives every other team's a fighting chance.
I think Boychuk's a really big loss. I mean, even Chiarelli, their GM, said after he traded him to the Islanders, he said he's very well liked, and I'm sure the guys are bummed, and they're probably a little bit bummed at me for doing it also.
Yeah.
I mean, now, PK Subban, his contract, he had a bad game in Tampa, Chris, -2. People are saying he's overpaid. I heard one commentator saying he didn't even try on one of the goals when he got burnt to the outside.
Yeah, Rome is burning right now, and you know, I just
get your fiddle out.
It's early in the season. You know, PK didn't look good on that goal. I think he underestimated the speed and the quickness of Callahan.
Yeah.
Callahan kind of give it, and he surprised me too, and he walked right around him. But you know, it is what it is, and I hate that word. I hate saying that. It is what it is. But, you know, honestly, you look at the contract and all that. There's so much good that PK does. There's so many ways he can turn the game around, and he's going to make mistakes at times. More often than not, he's going to be there for you.
He gives you all the passes.
Well, that's the thing. People don't, you know, all the people that are crapping on him today don't see what was happening in the offensive zone before that play. They don't see how much he knocks himself out on the ice, the energy he puts out. And because he does, now and then he's going to get caught, you know, and he's always thinking offense and all these things. But he's going to be a great player. And mark my words, 3 or 4 years from now, that contract is going to look like one of the big bargains in hockey.
That's right. And the only guy actually, you know, people talk about PK, he's not getting enough ice time. Now he's averaging 25 minutes
Too
a
much.
game. But Andrei Markov's getting even more ice time than him, Chris.
Well, I think, you know, his 25 minutes are much different than Markov's 26 or 25 minutes. You know, he's going balls to the wall. I mean, he's 25. You have to learn how to pace yourself. That's one of the first, or one of the most crucial things to learn is how to use your minutes efficiently. And when they go down, you know, he goes a little bit crazy. Maybe there's more expected of him, but he's 25 years old. I mean, who knew who Zdeno Chara was when he was 25? Yeah. Not Mike Milbury. You know, he traded him for a bag of pucks, and he traded Spezza with him. I'll take Alexei Yashin. This guy, you're going to see, he's the next Gretzky.
We joked in last week's show that Rene Bourque, Marc Bergevin was going to tell him the playoffs started on October 8th. Well, 4 games into the season, Rene Bourque hasn't had a point, and he's -6. Chris, is he playing that bad?
Yeah, I don't think so. Again, I think he's a lot better than he was last year during the regular season. He started better. I've seen some good signs from Rene Bourque early here. Again, you know, you got to give him some time here to see how last year's playoffs rubbed off on him mentally. You know, what will that do for him this season in the regular season? I hope he does well. I really want to see him do well. I got all the tools. And I had to kind of give it to him last year. I don't like doing that. But when a guy isn't trying and the effort isn't there, it's unacceptable.
I mean, he'll come back, I think, and so will Eller. I mean, these are two key guys in the playoffs last spring.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just hasn't worked for them yet, but it's a small sample size.
Yeah. Now you get some negative emails.
Jack, you want me to pull out my 1,000-page document here?
You must be feeling a little bit of redemption. I know you've been a Thomas Plekanec fan for a long time.
Yeah.
He's what a start.
The captain.
Loved the guy since he came here, and I'm not at all shocked at what's happening because his role has changed. He's got a couple of great offensive line mates now, and he's not forced to spend 2/3 of his time taking defensive zone faceoffs because they've got Manny Malhotra. They've freed him up, and I think you mentioned before Bergeron is the best two-way player in the league. I think Plekanec can be right up there with him, and you'll see it by the end of this season.
It's astounding that he's never made it really far in the Selke voting because he really is. He's one of the great defensive forwards. And you give him an opportunity to score, he'll score. Like, he just never really had that opportunity. His role was always sort of saddled with, oh, this guy's not doing so well. Put him with Plekanec. It'll help him out. This guy's not doing so good either. Put him with Plekanec. He'll straighten the kid out. Well, now, you know, we're finally seeing a little bit of generosity swing his way. And
Selke trophy, you know, for the defensive player, right? For the best defensive player, but you need 100 points to go along with it.
It's very strange.
It's
It was like designed for guys like Bob Gainey, and now point-of-game guys are getting it. It's like, you got all your glory, give me mine. Come on.
The 82-game Habs soap opera has begun. We're 4 games into it. We'll be back next week with another Hockey Inside Out show.